Hey there, I'm Scott Parietti, and welcome to Tools for Being. This is the tool to keep the desire, lose the attachment. There's a Buddhist teaching that says attachment is the cause of all human suffering. Now, when I first heard this, I thought it meant I had to give away all my stuff and go find a not too cozy cave to call home. And hey, if that's the path you've chosen to take, that's great, but if so, chances are you're not on the internet watching this right now. Therefore, this session is for those of you who would like to experience less suffering without having to shave your heads, move to the Himalayas, and take a lifelong vow of celibacy. Now, I believe there are two categories of suffering caused by attachment: unavoidable and avoidable. Unavoidable types of suffering can range in different degrees, from the loss of a loved one to having a stomach flu. You see, if you love someone, you don't want to lose them, so you're attached to them being alive. In the same way, you're attached to feeling healthy, and so the stomach flu causes you to suffer. And although technically it is attachment that causes the suffering in these examples, we aren't usually thinking about it in those terms. We want our loved ones to live, and we want to feel healthy. So removing attachment from those instances would make for a very confusing and bizarre life experience. Because if you tell your partner, "I love you, but I'm not attached to you being alive," you better have a hotel room booked before the words even come out of your mouth. The second category is where I like to say misplaced attachment is the cause of avoidable suffering. This is where you unknowingly place attachment where it doesn't need to be, and as a result, you become the direct cause of your own suffering. And the place where this happens the most with all of us is desire, the pursuit of the things we want in life. So, avoidable suffering comes from the attachment to the outcomes of our desires, which is what we're going to focus on in this session, because this is where we actually have control. Attachment to outcomes happens when wanting something causes you sadness, depression, fear, anxiety, or any other negative emotion. The reason this happens is because when you think about the thing you want, you are very often thinking about the fact that you don't have it, which causes you to feel bad. You're usually not thinking of the desire as an already manifested thing. Instead, you're thinking things like, "I've wanted this for so long. I've tried so hard. He has it and she has it. Why don't I have it?" And then you may even start getting into those deeper negative belief patterns like, "I don't have it because I'm not good enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not smart enough, blah, 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 blah." So keep in mind, all of that suffering from those negative emotions is not at all because of the desire. It's because of the attachment to the desire, which is really the feeling that somehow you and your life experience are less than because you don't have this thing you want. How many times have you decided you wanted something and then immediately started beating yourself up because you don't have it? The reason so many people are wrought with depression and anxiety is because they have programmed themselves to approach life in this way. And the rub here is that you will always, always, always have desires that have not yet come to fruition. So if you've programmed yourself to only feel good once you get the things you want, how will you ever be able to consistently feel good while you're always living with desires that have not yet manifested? People whose minds are programmed in this way are usually not even aware that it's a problem. They just think they need to get everything they want all the time. And this can cause an unhealthy need for instant gratification and can lead to self-medicating with alcohol, sex, drugs, prescriptions, etc. in a misguided attempt to numb the suffering that this attachment is causing. But here's the paradox that the Buddhist monks probably won't tell you. Desire should feel good. I mean, after all, don't you want the thing you want because you think it's going to make you feel good once you get it? So why is the desire making you feel bad? Because of the attachment that is happening when the brain has been programmed by you to associate desire with feeling bad for not having. It's no coincidence that most of us express desire by saying, "I want it so badly." We never say, "I want it so goodly," probably because that would sound really weird. And yes, goodly is actually a word. I Googled it. In simplest terms, the way to release attachment and reduce suffering is not to ditch your desires, but to instead learn to start feeling good about them. Now, the reason this might be tricky at first is because when the brain is associating the desire with feeling bad, and then you decide to start feeling good, even though you don't have that desire, you're changing the dynamic of a very long-term mental relationship. And the way the brain is initially going to interpret it is that you've given up the desire, simply because that badly aspect of wanting it is gone. And what's interesting as a side note here is that may actually turn out to be true. Once you learn how to feel good without needing to get what you want, it really causes you to take a closer look at your desires, why you want them, and if you really do want them. There were things that I once wanted that I eventually gave up because as I got better at feeling good organically, I found that the motivation behind certain desires was not authentic. In some cases, it boiled down to me just wanting attention and praise, and that was about it. And desires with that sort of motivation will only lead you down a road where you become so attached to the approval of others that you'll always suffer when you don't get it. If you've spent a long time associating wanting something with feeling bad because you don't have it, it may be beneficial for you to start a daily practice of just sitting down for 10 minutes and exploring the new mental territory of what it feels like to associate desire with feeling good. One way to go about this is when you think of the desire, imagine how you would feel if you already had it. What are the feelings associated with having it? Can you recall the reasons why you want the desire rather than focusing on the feelings of not having it? This will instantly make you feel good and unattached. I feel calmer and happier just speaking the words. And just remember, none of this is about visualizing your desires into reality. It's simply a way for you to learn to feel good more consistently and suffer less at the hands of attachment. But there's an interesting paradox here, which is when you make peace with not having the things you want, they start to come to you more easily because you're more relaxed and non-resistant, which changes your energy and enhances your power to attract the things you want. But try not to let that be your motivation for releasing attachment because that will just make you more attached. Something else you can do is practice feeling what it feels like to want something without needing it. Find that place inside you where you can feel like the whole, complete, worthy person that you are without the promotion, without the relationship, without the new car or whatever. And again, this may be new territory for the brain because we often convince ourselves that our wants and needs are the same things, but play around with it and see if you can start to separate the two. Another excellent process is daily meditation. Meditation will naturally lead you to a state of being less attached to outcomes. Now, anytime I mention meditation to people, they say, I don't know how, or I'm no good at it. Well, there's no right or wrong way to meditate. Just sit quietly somewhere for 15 minutes and do nothing but breathe and be. Now, that doesn't mean sit and try to figure out what you're going to do about your problems. It's literally about sitting and doing nothing while you breathe. Now, the most powerful technique for me when it comes to releasing attachment is trusting that the universe is always working in my favor, even when it doesn't appear that way. How many times have you been in an unwanted situation that ultimately led you to something you did want? Things don't always come to us in the way we want or expect them to, and sometimes we don't get what we want at all because it's not in our best interests and the universe is protecting us. I once saw a great quote somewhere that said, when you ask for something, the universe has one of three answers. Yes, yes but later, or I have something better planned. Now, if I heard that in my younger years, I would have been like, what a bunch of bull. But through a regular practice of trust and surrender, that idea has proven itself to be true to me over and over again. So if you can really start believing that the universe is on your side, you'll see more evidence of it, which will build your faith and help you release enormous amounts of attachment and suffering. I sincerely hope you find value in what I've shared here. For more tools for being videos, please visit my YouTube channel, and please feel free to reach out to me with any questions, comments, or feedback. Be well and keep it light.